The FCAT is a Florida statewide test that is given out for students 3rd through 11th grade to test their abilities on reading, writing, math, and science. They have to pass the FCAT in order to get to the next grade or to graduate if they're 11th grader. I don't really feel like FCAT should be a mandatory pass or fail test due to the fact that throughout the school year you have schoolwork that grades you on that, and it also adds more workload towards the teachers as well as the students, because the first 9 weeks or the first half of the semester if you're in high school is dedicated to FCAT only. You basically learn the information you need to know in order to pass it. And the next 9 weeks or the last semester is dedicated to you learning your schoolwork you need to know for your next grade, which is very unfair to the students and the teachers, because the students have a whole year of not having the chance to learn what they need to know for their next grade, versus some students in other states having a whole year of learning what they need to know in order to make it through life or college. Where in Florida, the FCAT hinders that because you only have the first half of the school year, which is dedicated to the FCAT, and then the second half, which is dedicated to learning all your information you need to know. As for the parents, I feel like it's very unfair for them because they have to go through it with their children throughout the year, whether they pass or fail. And if you're an athlete student or a parent of an athlete student, you have a way more responsibility to pass, because if you get a scholarship out of state, which they don't really know about the FCAT, then they have to pass the FCAT in order to go to college, which leaves the FCAT and the ACT for them to worry about on top of schoolwork. The FCAT would be fine in school as long as it didn't count so much as it does. And every year they add more to it that raises the bar for students and gets harder. My 11th grade year they added the science, which was after I graduated, mandatory to pass. And I don't feel like it's fair for students to have to necessarily know science, because you don't need science to be a police officer in my eyes. So I don't feel like a student should have to go through repeating a whole nother year of school or the same grade over a science part of the FCAT, which they would never need in their life. Starting from the 3rd grade, it shouldn't be such a heavy load on you as a young student. But dealing with the FCAT, parents are more on top of their child on passing the FCAT versus passing the 3rd grade to go to the 4th and 5th grade. And I feel like that's what school has become now in Florida, more of learn the information that the FCAT needs in order to pass the FCAT, not go to school to learn education that you need for life or college. Because in college, it doesn't take the FCAT. Because if you go to an out-of-state school, it's not going to look for your FCAT scores or how well you did on the FCAT, because most out-of-state students and other out-of-state people have no idea what the FCAT is. It's only a Florida thing, which is another reason why I feel like it really shouldn't be that important to go through life as a Florida student taking the FCAT. Because if your parent moves to another state while you're in 11th grade, you've basically spent 10th through the 3rd focusing on FCAT in order to graduate, when really you don't need it in this state. And now you're behind on learning something maybe that you might have needed in order to get to college or in order to go to the next grade that you don't have now. Because it's only a Florida test, I feel like only Florida students or people or parents understand how important it is. versus an out-of-state person coming into Florida for the first time, going to public school. They don't quite understand the importance of the FCAT. So in their eyes, they see it as just a test that they have to take every year in order to pass. But what if they don't pass it? Then they're like hindered behind, when the state they just came from, all you needed to pass was the A, B, or C, which I feel like how it should be in Florida. Granted, some other states have big tests as well, but I don't feel like Florida should have it from 3rd to 11th. It's not fair for the students. It's not fair for the teacher. It adds more work onto the teacher, and it adds a lot more stress onto the student who's trying to pass to get to the next grade. And once in college, you have other subjects thrown at you that the FCAT never covers. And I feel like if they didn't have the FCAT in school, teachers in high school would have more time to prepare students for college. Maybe more students would want to go to college because they would have the proper preparation in order to make it through college or life. But due to the FCAT, it stops half of the semester from them learning anything they need to know due to college, because they have to spend the other half playing catch up to what they should have been learning throughout the whole year. And if you fail the FCAT, you basically have to take the whole year over again. Even if you were passing an AB or ABC student, if they fail the FCAT, it just ends the whole year for them and have to retake the whole year, which I feel like is very unfair to the student and the parent, because the parent have to deal with the emotional breakdown from the student who was passing in school but failed the math part of the FCAT. It's not fair at all. It's not reasonable, but it happens, and you have to go through it and you have to complete it just like everyone else. But I feel like once they take it out, they will see the big difference and the big change in numbers in schools, and also as in students going to college, because students will have more time to be prepared for the things that they will be going through that the FCAT is now taken away from. It doesn't count towards anything, so I don't see the significance of having it in schools. It doesn't help towards very much, because either way it go, you're going to learn your math, science, your reading, and your writing from your teachers. So you're going to learn your education. I just don't feel like it should be such a big matter or a fail or pass thing for students in Florida, because in real life you may not even have to use half of the stuff that the FCAT goes over, or in college. Whatever you choose to do with your life, I don't feel like the FCAT should decide that throughout your grade school, because it's not fair for no one on either end of the boat that has to handle or deal with the FCAT. And this is why I have chosen to write my speech on FCAT.